Welcome to Come and See, your podcast for finding truth in a world of chaos. Brought to you by All for Jesus Living Waters Ministry. With host and founder Richard Case and co-host and retreat leader Kathy Ricconi. Join us every weekday at this time to discuss news, spend time in the Word, and receive answers to your personal questions about living life in God's truth. And now your host, Richard Case.
Well, good morning, Kathy. Here we are.
Good morning.
This is airing Monday, October 30.
Yes.
So this is Halloween Eve.
Mm-hmm.
And Halloween's coming tomorrow. And so I know we want to talk a little bit about that. It's always, interesting, where we get this, this time of year. And interesting, this is a funny statistic. And you and I particularly, because we so enjoy Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And we are contributors to the purchases of decorations
Oh, absolutely.
and at Christmas time, and we enjoy it and love it, and because we so revere the birth of Christ and the
Mm-hmm.
celebration of it, is that we really honor that, and just the beauty of it, with how it can be representative if you really enjoy it. By the way, when we get
Mm-hmm.
toward the holidays, we will have another discussion about and see if you can remind me about mid-November
Okay.
is to how do we enjoy the holidays, Christmas holidays, Thanksgiving through Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
and not get sucked into it where we go overboard or we get so busy that people actually look forward to it ending.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and it's a
Mm-hmm.
real understanding of how we do it properly to enjoy it. But you and I, one thing that we do, and you do it, and we do it. We put our beautiful decorations out, for the whole month of December.
Mm-hmm.
Well, um, do you think that people spend more money on Christmas decorations or Halloween decorations?
Well, in my world, it's Christmas decorations, but I have a feeling you have a statistic that is different.
Yeah, it's almost twice as much Halloween.
Really?
Halloween. Of the
Wow.
money. I'm talking about the money spent
Right.
um, on
Just from
on
an economic standpoint.
on
Interesting.
decorations is more Halloween than Christmas. Um, it,
Wow.
so the people that sell that stuff really like it.
Right.
uh,
Right.
but it really surprised me when I found that out, because I it's like, okay, it's a day, and it's, I know what people do, and they do all this stuff, but man, I guess it's become bigger and bigger and bigger, which, by the way, when you think about it, shouldn't surprise us, because the enemy,
Right.
controls the world and wants everybody to, celebrate, that, as opposed to, the birth of Christ. So it's really interesting. But
Mm-hmm.
we know with Halloweens, particularly with parties, with children, um, it's the night of, going to parties dressed up. It's the night of trick or treating, for kids.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and as you and I were talking about it, you kind of had an important question, that you thought we ought to address. So why don't you kind of raise that up, and then we can process it a little bit.
Right. Yeah. As you know, I spend a lot of time speaking with and mentoring with young moms. And an overwhelming question that I have had lately, especially this year more than others, for interestingly enough, is what do we do about Halloween? How do we navigate that as Christian parents and protecting our children, yet letting them be in the world and not of the world, all of these things. And it's really something that they're wrestling with.
Yeah. Um, and when you think about that, what is driving that question behind it, in terms of when you say, what do we do with Halloween? What are you thinking there? What are they thinking there?
Well, do we engage in trick or treating? Do they, this just from a practical standpoint, what does that look like? But then I also know the heart behind a lot of the moms in particular that I'm speaking with is I want to honor God. I want to raise up traditions in my family and live in a way that draws them to the feet of Jesus. And am I wrong to allow them to do this? They want an answer. They
Yeah.
want a black and white answer as to how to navigate this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. And so when you think of, just Halloween per se, and I don't know, and probably if people are paying attention, particularly in the month of October,
mhm,
the advertisements for movies on
right,
TV movies.
are horrible. Yeah.
Um, okay, horrible. Now think about that. Why are they horrible?
There's such an evil presence in what they're depicting. It's all based on promoting fear, promoting things that are scary and designed to instill fear and a
Yeah,
lot of evil stuff,
yeah,
honestly.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a promotion of wickedness,
Mhm.
which is things that are against the nature of God, of love, joy, and peace. It's against harshness and things that are just wicked. And then as you think about a lot of the costumes,
Mhm.
they represent you know the dead. They represent evil things. That's really how it all developed, was a celebration of the dead. Um,
Right.
and it just got stronger and stronger and stronger, so that now, as we said, it's actually the largest decoration spending of any holiday,
Mhm.
because people are honoring that wickedness, and it tends to gravitate toward the macabre, or the strange, the evil, the
Mhm.
depth of wickedness. And the more wicked, it seems like people like that. How
Mhm.
bad can we get? And
There's something they're drawn to in
yeah,
that, right?
yeah. So the first question would be, as we look at it, is, as a believer of God, in Christ, our heart should be what?
To honestly to seek what God desires for our
Yeah,
families.
to walk with God with a purity of
Mhm.
heart. He says, I want to be glorified
Mhm.
in all that you do. So whatever I do, and by the way, this goes
Mhm.
this goes deeper than Halloween. It's really about, how do we live out the life of God? Are we glorifying God? But it has to honor God and His nature
Mhm.
and His character, and not go the other direction,
Right.
where it glorifies. And again, just think of the simplicity of it. Um, and he actually says this in James. He says, if you have friendship with the world,
Mhm.
and friendship means I've joined in to promoting the values and characteristics and nature of the world, he says, then you're not glorifying me. And
Mhm.
it's kind of a choice you have to make. Are you going to wind up glorifying the world? And of course, we know the controller of the world is Satan and the demonic. And in a sense, we typically people typically um, are falling into it anyway, just because they're thinking like and acting like the
Right.
world. But on Halloween, it's almost like a special moment where, yeah, I'm gonna join in the honoring of the enemy
Mhm.
with these wicked things. And I'm, in a way, if I let my children be participate in that, I'm really having them learn to join that as well.
Mm.
So I got to figure this out, in terms
Right.
of, what do I do with this? And you're at the same time, and this is where the rub comes in, is, well, you don't want your kids to wind up being perceived as holier than thou.
Mhm.
And now you've strained any relationships that they might have with other
Right.
other kids who don't even know anything about
And
it.
a call to be light in darkness as
And,
well
and
that
I'm
you're
I'm supposed
wrestling
to be a
with.
light. And we know Jesus, he went out all the time with unbelievers.
Right. Right.
So.
into places that the Jews would legalistically say he should not be.
Yeah, yeah, or be around people that were,
Mhm.
struggling, with, he was with, the woman who committed adultery, or he would be in a place of where there would be sinners, supposed sinners. Why are you sitting with sinners? Says, well,
Mhm.
I've come to, that's who I've come to, have a relationship with. Um,
Right.
so he tells us that I can share with you, he says, how you approach this. So if you go to Psalm 34
Mhm.
and read verses 8 through 16, 8 to 16.
Okay. Sure. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man who trusts in him. Oh, fear the Lord, you his saints. There is no want to those who fear him. The young lions lack and suffer hunger, but those who seek the Lord shall not lack any good thing. Come, you children, listen to me. I will teach you the fear of the Lord. Who is the man who desires life and loves many days that he may see good? Keep your tongue from evil, your lips from speaking deceit. Depart from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it. The eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are open to their cry. The face of the Lord is against those who do evil, to cut off the remembrance of them from the earth.
Okay. So he says, um, walk with God and
Mm-hmm.
experience that He is good. And the word good there is exceptional, valuable,
Mm-hmm.
supernatural, deliver the spectacular to you.
Mm-hmm.
Walk with Him and He'll deliver that to you. It takes trust. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and He says, come with me in verse 11, and He will teach me the fear of the Lord. And the word there is the reverence, the awe that if I
Mm-hmm.
follow God and that everything He has to say is true, I'll experience the good.
Right.
Because He's setting that up as the opportunity is. It's don't be afraid of God and He's going to punish you. It's
Mm-hmm.
rather, if you have a heart to follow Him and trust Him, He'll show you the very, very good of all these things, including these sticky situations, like Halloween. Okay. Um, so then he says um, in verse 13, he says, keep your tongue from evil and the lips from speaking guile. Depart from evil, do good, seek peace, and pursue it. Okay. So he says, don't focus on, don't keep talking about, and don't participate in things that are evil.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, by definition, if, for example, you just let your child go trick or treating in the neighborhood,
Mm-hmm.
they're kind of innocent, and let's say they're dressed up in a really, just a pleasant costume. It's not wicked,
Right.
it's not evil. It's just
A
something
cute
else.
little character
Cute,
or
cute,
whatever.
cute
Yeah.
character, a dress or a suit or something like that. Okay, but what are they going to be passing all night long as they go out trick or treating?
Mm.
They're going to be
Yeah,
passing
they
all.
will see. They'll see both. Yeah.
They're going to see all these
They'll see the
wicked.
cute. They will see the evil also.
They're going to see these wicked things, and because of the way that houses operate in any neighborhood,
Mm-hmm.
some of them are just going to be here. Sure, here's some candy. It's kind of innocent. And it's kind of fun for kids to get
Right.
candy. So that's fun. But a lot of them are going to be dressed up and put little things on that are really wicked. Really, and
Mm-hmm.
they want to kind of scare the kids walking up the street or up
Right.
the
Right.
sidewalk.
That's the
Uh,
point. Right.
because it's wicked. So basically, what you're doing is you're exposing those children to a lot of wickedness that they don't have any ability to discern, other than, I guess this is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm.
and by the way, this is also true, unfortunately, for adults who attend, secular costume parties. Is that,
Mm-hmm.
well, yeah, I'm not participating in the wicked, but you're hanging around all these evil things that are glorifying evil, and you're joining it. And
Mm.
God says, no. It says really clear here is do what in verse 14? Depart from it.
It says,
Don't
depart from evil and do good.
do good, seek peace, pursue peace, seek
Mm-hmm.
shalom, and ask me for wisdom so that I can help you to depart from evil. Because evil is not
Mm-hmm.
going to glorify me, and I don't want it to impact you. You think it doesn't, but it really does, particularly children, because
Mm-hmm.
they don't start to learn the discernment between good and evil. They kind of get it all fuzzy,
Mm.
get it confused. So um, one is don't participate in the worldly celebration of evil
Mm-hmm.
on any level. Letting your kids walk past it all the time, being at a party where there's all this stuff, or you as an adult even joining that party. Okay, so people can say, okay, I can understand that. The question would be, well, then
Mm-hmm.
what do I do?
Right,
uh,
right.
well, it says do what? It says uh, do good. And remember,
Mm-hmm.
he says, I'm going to have you taste that the Lord is good. Why? Because God will lead you to the good. He'll give you wisdom. He'll give you insight. So one, there's no formula for this. It's not
Mm.
like always do it this way. No,
Right.
it's a two-part discussion. One,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm not going to participate in all of the glorification of evil. Okay,
Right.
I've decided that. And God says that's not fuzzy. That's very clear. Do not participate
Mm-hmm.
in things that glorify evil. Okay. The bigger question then is, okay, what do I do as I want to celebrate the good, particularly with my children who I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to isolate. I don't want to have them appear holier than thou. I don't want them to go to judgment. So
Mm-hmm.
how do I not participate and at the same time have them, be friendly and enjoy things and to
Right.
participate? And okay, so there's a couple things there. One is that we help them understand and teach them the difference between evil and good, and to
Mm. That's
explain it to them.
good.
They can
Okay.
even little kids can understand it. Is that here's why
Mm-hmm.
we're not going to go do this. Because of what the word says and what God is, and we want to glorify God. And He says not to participate in evil. And this, you see, this stuff is awful and it's kind of wicked and evil. And no, it's not a healthy thing to participate in. And here's why. So what we're going to do, and this is where you got to go ask God, is okay, what would be ways that we could still have our kids enjoy, in a sense, Halloween,
Mm-hmm.
but do it in a way that is good and peaceful and shalom.
Right.
And God says, let me share with you wisdom for your particular geography, your particular group of people, your particular thing, and let me help you with that. For example, churches, a lot of churches put on an event that
Like
night.
trunk or treat or things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and they encourage kids to get dressed up,
Mm-hmm.
come to the church. We're going to have these stations. We're going to have candy, trick or treating, similar things.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, you enjoy it, and if you want to invite your friends, they may not come, but at least
Right.
you invited them, and we're going to try to make it a
But they
really,
still get the costumes and the candy and the fun
yeah,
and yeah.
we're gonna have a special time. So that's one thing that we can do is go to where the churches have already thought this through. And you got to do a little research, and and by the way, they're
Mm-hmm.
not limited to just your church. So in our area, like Colorado and in Castle Rock or in South Denver, there's lots of churches that do it, and they just say anybody can come.
Right.
So it
Right.
doesn't have to be my church. It just can be one that I've, done some research on, and you know what, that could work well, for my child or grandkid. And then, or um, the fellowship of the body.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have friends, you have people in your small group, you have people that you know. Well, you could do something. Um, and
Mm-hmm.
there's all kinds of creative ways. You could have a party. You could even arrange, for your 8 houses that you have to have them come and get the candy and enjoy it, and it's all healthy and it's all good. I mean, there's lots of
Right.
creative ways to do it. You just got to think it through. And so, even if we're kind of sharing this on the 30th, and maybe maybe you haven't thought it through really well, but you still got time.
Yeah.
Is give it some thought. You got to make a decision. Number one, okay, I'm not going to have them
Mhm.
participate in the evil. And how do you want me to help them participate in a healthy way that doesn't shunt the whole thing off to where they judge it, or they're so hostile toward it that they actually cause trouble with other kids or other situations, or
Mhm.
even their own hearts. It's like, yeah, here's why we don't do that, but here's what we are going to do, and we want you to enjoy the day, and we want you to enjoy your friends, and you don't need to judge your
Mhm.
friends. And by the way, we got to teach them. One thing we did with our kids and our grandkids is we told them, we worked really really hard, and was something we've been kind of talking through anyway, is this aspect of judgment. Is,
Mhm.
hey, you're going to have friends that do these things. Don't worry about it. You don't need to judge them.
Right.
You don't need to tell them they're wrong. You don't need to come against them. If they say, how come, you can just say, it's up to you. It's not a problem for me. You do what you want. But here's what I'm going to do.
Mhm.
And you share what
Right.
you're going to do, not what they shouldn't do. And you see the difference,
Mm.
and that's kind of a neat thing.
Right. Right.
And by the way, it really has an impact on them as they get older,
Mhm.
because they're going to get, and we talked about discernment and all this, they're going to get more and more discernment. They're going to trust the word that it's
Mhm.
true, and they're willing to stand on that truth. That's going to create conflict.
Right.
And as kids, when they're getting to junior high school and high school, they're going to have lots of conflicts. Interesting enough, even with other Christian kids
Mhm.
who haven't been taught any better and think everything is fine, that evil is
Right.
okay. So we've taught them that this process of discernment, understand truth, but always ask God, what do you want me to do with that? And
Right.
treat everybody with honor and respect, and let their choice be their choice without you judging that choice. At the same time,
Mhm.
you don't have to participate in that choice, and you can say, I'm not going to do it because here's what I'm going to do, because this is what I've understood is the way I want to live my life. And so if you can teach that
Right.
to kids, I think, interesting enough, and I'm glad you brought this up, is that it kind of starts pretty early with Halloween, um,
Mm.
because it's such a clear opportunity to show the difference between good and evil, and to
Right.
help kids
Oh, that's
understand
good. Yeah.
help kids understand it. And little kids, they they're not stupid. They can see, yeah, that's pretty awful.
Mhm.
That's pretty wicked. That's not good. Um, but they don't know the difference why, and what do we do about that, and is that okay? And no, it's processing, but do it in a really healthy way. And it's that discussion of thinking through, okay, what could we do with their friends or with their uh, little hearts that would
Mhm.
have them get through this Halloween, not think it's so weird that I can't participate at all, and now I've set up a rule that,
Mm.
well, I don't do Halloween. I don't want anybody else to do Halloween. It's like, no, you could still do it, but do it in a healthy way, do it in a positive way. I
Mhm.
think that's the beauty of how Christ lived. I think he just
Right.
said, relax a little bit, just don't get yourself really wrapped up into judgment. Why don't you just have freedom? I'll show you the way to do it. You
Right.
can be a bearing witness and glorifying me in the very process of it.
Mhm.
And what I don't, he says, what I don't want you to do is learn to separate from all people that aren't like you.
Right.
Because he said
Right.
that's how we're going to reach people. And you said it. You're supposed to be the light in a dark place. Well, you got to be in that dark place to be
Mhm.
light. So I don't want you to
Right.
separate completely. I just don't want you to participate in it and glorify it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think one of the things, as you were talking about, the fact that he will lead us, just to always remind people in this discussion, is your privilege to go to the throne room and ask him how he wants you to do this with your family, with your kids, shepherding their hearts. What does he have for you and your family to be light and darkness in this particular day? and let him lead and trust the fact that he's creative. I think we put in a box. Even 3 years ago, he told me do this, and so I'm just going to keep doing that. And maybe next year he's having you invite a certain family that needs to, there's just creativity in there. And I think don't put him in a box. We know the truth of what his word is, what we are to celebrate, what we are to depart from. Yet even in that, going to him and saying, how do you want us to navigate this year?
Right.
What do you have for our family this year, for our child this year? Who do you want us interacting with, and how do we do that well?
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Yep. And I think it helps to, and maybe even amongst your friends, as you process it with other kids or other situations, is that maybe you're going to help them understand some things. And by the way,
Mm-hmm.
again, the way that we've always done it is, well, let's go to the Word
Mm-hmm.
and see you can go to Psalm 34. It's pretty clear.
Right. Right.
Um, let's talk about that. What does that mean? What does that look like? Here we have application. Halloween's a good time because evil is so prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
How do we depart from evil and seek good and pursue good? And you're processing it may have a
Mm-hmm.
bearing on somebody else that is a little bit fuzzy about all this, and help
Right.
them start to get clarity. And really, it's to drive people to the Word to say, why don't you keep
Yes.
seeking God and just let Him show you the way, and God will do it in such
Mm-hmm.
a beautiful way that it'll be fun, it'll be enjoyable, and you can trust it, that
Mm-hmm.
it'll glorify Him because He's leading us. So with this whole thing with the Halloween situation, it is a moment where it's very obvious. Don't participate in it, don't glorify it, but come up with a way to glorify God in it, and He can give you that answer.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll, Father, we
Absolutely.
pray for that this can be one of those tricky places where we can get pretty
Mm-hmm.
lazy about it and just not care about it, but it does have impact. We don't even realize it. And so we just pray that we would take this seriously, and even to talk about it with our family, with our kids or our cousins, and just things that we could talk to help them understand the truth is to depart from evil, do good, seek peace, and pursue it. And we thank you in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Well, thanks so much for diving into that question. I know it's been on a lot of hearts and minds lately, so
Yeah.
especially of the young moms right now.
Yep.
So thank you. And if you have questions, send them in to us at questions@afjministry.com. We'd love to talk about it, and we'll see you next
Yep.
time.
We'll see you then.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Come and See, your podcast for truth in a world of chaos. Brought to you by All for Jesus Living Waters Ministry. Send us your questions and comments, and tune in tomorrow for more answers to your personal questions about living life in God's truth. Remember, God's will is best and none better. His truth brings peace in this world of chaos.